will hurt you for this.
I am the sword in the darkness.
Lion doesn't concern himself with the opinions of the sheep.
Let me give you some advice, bastard.
Chaos isn't a pit. Chaos is a ladder.
There's no war so hateful as a war between kin. And no war so bloody as a war between dragons.
Did you stand by and watch as the High Towers usurp the throne? You and your traitorous twin. Aegon was in your grasp. You should have killed him yourself.
We swore the same oath to defend the whole of the royal family. So what were we to do when they turned against one another?
What is up, everybody? Jeremy Icenfire here, and welcome to the channel. Season 2 of House of the Dragon is just around the corner now, and today we got some all-new footage from the upcoming season, along with a bunch of all-new stills never before seen from a variety of characters, both new and old. And today, we're going to be taking a look and breaking down the bonus scene that we get between Daemon Targaryen and Sir Eric of the Kingsguard, along with an intriguing scene between Alicent and Otto Hightower discussing the future of the war and the implications of Aemon's axe at the end of Season 1. Kicking things off with the scene between Damon and Sir Eric, with Damon scolding the member of the Kingsguard for not taking a more drastic action in preventing the war, and for not killing Aegon when he had the chance. Which is a little bit of an unfair criticism to lay at Sir Eric's feet. At the time that he and his brother parted ways after finding Aegon, the tragedy that takes place between Aemond and Luke had not happened yet. And then, of course, there is also the matter of Sir Eric's Kingsguard oaths that he takes extremely serious. He talks about how he and his brother were named to the Kingsguard at the age of 18, and how they both swore to defend the whole of the royal family. And when the royal family begins to turn on each other, what exactly are they to do? Which is a completely understandable dilemma from a member of the Kingsguard's perspective. When the royal family that you swore to protect and serve all of a sudden splits down the middle, just what exactly are you supposed to do, and whose side are you supposed to take? On one side you have the named heir in Rhaenyra, the eldest daughter of Viserys, and on the other side you have Aegon, the eldest son of Viserys, and who the laws of succession technically favor over Rhaenyra. Which of course is one main reason why the Hightowers had so much success in getting the council to support Aegon over Rhaenyra, with certain members of the council being hesitant to break centuries of tradition in favoring the male heir in matters of succession. So it's understandable why Sir Eric was hesitant to take any drastic action that could potentially lead to war, when at that point there was no war on the horizon. But I do get the feeling this guilt trip that Daemon is laying at Sir Eric will play a part in the upcoming episodes, in particular in regards to the Cardril Bull, the deadly duel between the two Kingsguard brothers, which is reportedly coming in Episode 2. And in the scene, we do hear Sir Eric talk about how he abandoned Aegon and abandoned his brother in favor of Rhaenyra. So I do get the feeling Eric is going to want to do everything in his power to prove his loyalty in the upcoming episodes, even if that means crossing swords with his own brother. So it looks like Season 2 is really heating up now as we are getting closer and closer to that release date. And if nothing else, it looks like the first 2 episodes in particular are going to be jam-packed full of some pretty big events. But next, we also get this very intriguing scene between Otto and Alicent Hightower, with the two of them scheming behind the back of King Aegon, hoping that at one point, the novelty of ruling will wear off to Aegon, and at that point they can steer their cause to victory. With Otto replying that the path to victory now certainly includes war, especially now that the events between Aemond and Luke above Storm's End have come to light. And at first glance, you definitely get the sense that Otto and Alicent were hoping to be able to control Aegon after naming him king, very similar to how Cersei and Tywin were hoping to be able to control Joffrey when he was named king. But it seems like Aegon is giving them a little bit of trouble in that regard, so I get the feeling we're going to see a little bit of strife in between the side of the Greens, with a potential power struggle developing between Aegon and his mother and grandfather. And these are the kind of dynamics I'm really looking forward to being explored on House of the Dragon. Fire and Blood, of course, is very slim in its details and the inner workings between Team Black and Team Green, so that is one thing the show is going to be able to dive much deeper into, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how some of these dynamics develop, and how some of these relationships end up playing out on screen. And of course, with Otto replying to Alicent how the path to victory most certainly includes war, I have to imagine that is solely referring to the death of Luke at the hands of Aemond. Before the unfortunate battle above Shipbreaker Bay takes place and Luke tragically loses his life, the Greens were hoping that Rhaenyra would seriously consider generous terms that they sent to her in order to avoid conflict. But now that the death of her son has occurred, all bets are out the window, and war is certainly on the horizon. And now it looks like Alicent and Otto are not going to be in full control of the Greens' forces as they previously had hoped, with Aegon seemingly taking power from them. And I imagine this is going to be an aspect that is going to be difficult for Alicent to take in at first as well, her going from Queen of the Realm to Dowager Queen, and having her power greatly reduced. So it should be pretty interesting to see how she adapts to her new surroundings and new position, very similar to how Cersei was in a similar position when Joffrey became king and she became Dowager Queen, which of course greatly reduced her power as well. But where Cersei had Tywin, Alicent only has Otto. And Otto, of course, is nowhere near the political strategist and has nowhere near as much influence as Tywin had. Otto is a discount dollar general version of Tywin at best. So if nothing else, it should make for some very interesting scenes between Aegon, Otto, and Alicent, and seeing how they clash on how to handle certain events in the upcoming war. And on top of the all-new bonus scenes, we also got some all-new stills from the upcoming season as well. And a few of them definitely stand out and point to some intriguing things happening in Season 2. Starting off, of course, with this first and probably the best look that we have gotten of Cregan Stark yet. Here we get a clearer shot of Jace and Cregan atop the wall at the Night's Watch, and here that Stark look is really coming through. I'm really happy with the overall look of Cregan Stark. The wig does look a little bit iffy at times, but that sometimes happens with set photos that haven't been through the full round of post-production. I imagine it's going to look much better in the actual episode than it does here in this still. We also get a much better look at Ice in this shot as well, which of course is the Valyrian steel ancestral sword of House Stark. And again, it's just so awesome seeing Cregan walk around with this mammoth of his sword strapped to his back, which is usually only used in times of executions or ceremonial rituals, which could potentially point to why Cregan Stark is at the Night's Watch in the first place. Could Jace and Cregan potentially have visited the wall in order for Cregan to behead a deserter of the Night's Watch? If nothing else, it would certainly explain why Cregan is walking around with this mammoth of a sword strapped to his back, a sword that is far too big for combat. Unless, of course, you are the Mountain. We also got some interesting blood and cheese related stills of Damon by the looks of it, one of him in his cloak of skullduggery, and another of him sneaking into King's Landing via boat. And these ones are pretty self-explanatory, of course. We do know that Damon will be sneaking into King's Landing in Episode 1 to set up Blood and Cheese, a big event from the book that we are hearing is coming in Episode 1. We also get this very interesting shot of Aegon sitting on the throne, hanging around with what appears to be some of his friends. And knowing what we know about Aegon's more vulgar nature, and his darker proclivities, I wouldn't be too surprised if we start seeing Aegon turning the throne room and the Red Keep as a whole into his personal playground. And speaking of the throne room, we also got this shot of Season 2, and it appears that Aegon or someone has commissioned a statue of King Viserys to be made in the throne room. Which is really cool if nothing else. Paddy Constantine's King Viserys was in many ways the backbone of Season 1 and delivered some of the best performances I've ever seen on screen, so it's nice to know that his presence is still going to be felt throughout the show. And keeping things in the throne room, we also have this intriguing shot as well, and I did see many people online thinking that this could potentially be Blood or Cheese carrying a torch in the throne room. And at first glance, it's really hard to tell. The character in question is super far out, and even when you zoom in, you don't get a very clear picture, so it really could be anyone. But let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Do you think this could be Blood or Cheese? Or could this be another character entirely? Up next, we also get one of our first looks at Alan of Hull, played by Abubakar Salim in the upcoming season, and Corlys Velaryon. Alan and Adam of Hull are going to be two very interesting characters that are going to be introduced in this upcoming season, and I'm really looking forward to seeing the kind of dynamic that develops between them and Corlys, as Corlys is rumored to be their father. which is just some of the many new characters that we will be meeting in the second season of House of the Dragon. There were, of course, a bunch of other stills that was also released that I will be covering in future live streams. These were just a few of the ones that stood out to me on the offset. But we also got some great other looks at Aemon Targaryen, Rhaenyra and Jace in mourning after Luke, and some really great shots of Alicent Hightower. Overall, it's shaping up to be a wild second season as the war is fast approaching, a war that is going to be bloody and have a great many casualties on both sides, both human and dragon alike. But that is going to do it today for this update video on some of the awesome new promotional material for Season 2 of House of the Dragon, and definitely leave your comments down below. Which new character are you looking forward to seeing the most? And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like on your way out, and consider subscribing to stay up to date on all of our upcoming House of the Dragon content. And as always, I want to give a big thank you to everybody out there for watching, and we will see you on the next one.
There is no war so hateful as a war between kin.
I mean to fight this war and win it.
I will not be thought weak. I wish to spill blood.
And no war so bloody as a war between dragons.